All right, so for Clive, the rain will fall inside our corporate limits and outside of our corporate limits, and it still flows down into Clive because we have the lower elevation in our watershed. That water runs down into our streets, like you see in this upper left-hand corner. And then as you go from left to right, up to down, the next thing the rain will do will go into our storm intakes in the next image, and then it goes out to our creeks, where it might cause some erosion like you see there in the picture. I don't know if that's something that you're familiar with. I'm guessing that you are. And perhaps at some other point, this picture on the far right here, perhaps while you were on a shore or a dock, you saw the water after it leaves the creek and it's stored in a larger body of water. Okay, sorry, just trying to make sure we got everybody here. So, when the rain falls on private property, like your house, you can see that the water gets concentrated. So the darker blue areas here on the driveway and at the gutters and the downspout, that's where the water concentrates, which adds to the speed and the volume as it enters into our stormwater. And speed and volume are what contribute to that erosion that you saw in one of the previous pictures. So we like to see the rainfall staying in your lawn rather than running down and out into your driveway. And so when that rain falls on our lawn, but we have poor soil quality, we tend to have yards that look like these two pictures here. The rain has not penetrated below that turf very well. It might run off into a surface of lower elevation and ultimately adding to the load that enters our storm sewers and creeks. And again, that contributes to the erosion. So here below the turf, we can see that the soil profile in this image, it's light water drops and darker water drops here. The light drop is for that small amount of rainfall and the dark drop is for that larger amount of rainfall. And that's because we're looking at a picture of a poor soil profile. So the water just stays near the surface. Very little of it will soak down and infiltrate and reach the roots of this grass. Now, we prefer to see soils that has drops, more of all that darker color, which means that the rain is infiltrating through that profile and stays where it lands. So you can see at the bottom of this photo, with my cursor, hopefully you can see my cursor here. You can see it's a lighter colored, kind of yellow. That indicates clay. And that upper layer, it is dark. It's just not very thick. So again, this is something we want to fix, and we can help you do that with soil quality restoration. That's one way that we can break up that top and middle layer of the soil profile. So to fix poor soils and lighten the burden on our infrastructure, decrease that volume, in addition to the infrastructure, also, help the water quality as as the rain falls and gets into our creek. We've got our SQR. We like to say SQR. It's a lot easier to say than soil quality restoration. So let's talk about that a little bit. It's a pretty simple process. It has 2 steps, sometimes 3. At the bare minimum, we have a deep tine aeration, and then we have a compost application after that. And then the optional step 3 would be to have overseeding occur. Now for us here in Clive, we do a batch and build approach, which means that you as a homeowner don't have to spend the time interviewing different lawn care businesses to see if they do SQR, and then you don't have to go out and get quotes to see who's got the best deal out there. We do that for you. We do that with our competitive bidding process. And then I also want to mention that this year we have a special target area. There is a sub-watershed area in the Walnut Creek Hills neighborhood that receives special grant funding with its own unique cost share rate. So when you're looking at this and you live in that neighborhood, just keep in mind yours is a little offset. But overall, we've able to happily do a 50-50 cost share with our residents. This is something that we've been able to do since 2022, and there are definitely significant number of people who are coming back to get their yards treated more than once. And this is a quote here from the Harbach area. The little ditch that goes through the backyard doesn't have water running through it anymore. I think that's a real positive pat on the back for us. And then we also, I think, should get a gold star from another neighbor who had their yard treated last year, and they were very pleased with their results. I did want to point out our little history here with the chart down below. We definitely are limited by how many yards we treat based on how much product we can find that's available and what pricing people are interested in taking it up at. So this year, we're pretty close number-wise for 2025, and we'll look at that a little bit here toward the end. Right now, everybody that's on the call has already gone through June sign-up period. You probably signed up maybe as far back as September of last year, and I just got around to getting in touch with you. You're saying how interested you are, and then we went through the bidding process, and our contractor, A+ Lawn and Landscape, is here with us tonight. Here, we weren't quite sure, but I think now we are in the offer stage, and we're gonna wrap everything up, I'm hoping, by Monday, the 18th. And then instead of beginning on September 2nd, with the weather like it is, I'm pretty sure I heard that we were hoping to start on the 25th. So let's take a look at what that would look like for the homeowners. Back in July, after we had the bids come through, I spent a lot of time measuring people's yards. And this is just an example yard. I don't even know whose house this is. I do know that it's a Clive yard, and it's fairly representative of the average size for us. We do include these rights of way. That's the easement in between the sidewalk and the roadway. It just gives a nice consistent look to your yard. And when we look at the number of square feet for the right of way and the yard front and back here on this example, and take it times 11 cents, we look at the total cost. And then because we do a 50-50 cost share with you all, that comes up with an offer that I send to you. And our limit is $1,000 if you have a very large yard. The city is willing to pay up to 50%, and then you would take on whatever is after that $1,000 if you've hit that limit. I have had a few people call and ask me about some new construction that they've had done. So I do want to say, if you've had a shed, I just had someone talk about a deck. If you've had a pool built since March 2024, please let me know and I will recalculate your yard. The last flyovers for the aerial view, like you see in this photo here, they were done in March 2024. So you need to let me know. I can look up the building permit and recalculate the treatment area and get a new offer sent to you. I can't really look up landscaping projects because they don't require permits. So if you installed new garden beds this year or even last year, I would need you to let me know where the location is so that I can recalculate your area and your offer. If you have trampolines or swing sets, Ken, I'm guessing you can address this later, but I'm guessing you go around those. And if you have any other questions about your measurements, you'll just please let me know so I can try to take care of that and make sure that we're accurate. A lot of people were confused that I sent them an easement document and that is what I use to calculate the area. It's not. The easement document included the lot to make sure that I was making an offer for you and not for your neighbor. All right, so it's a different piece of paper that I used. This is what that receipt looks like. When you fill out your payment link here, you click, you fill in all the blanks. That's how I get your phone number and email address sent to the contractor so they can let you know that your address is coming up and they'll be there to treat in a couple of days. So you don't, you wouldn't need to necessarily send me the receipt. I will go ahead and when you fill this out and you hit submit or pay, I will get a notice that says that you've done it. So I want to stop sharing here and then show you an agreement and a receipt. And then I will hand things over to Ken. Let me see if I can locate that. Okay, and I don't know if you're going to get to see this full screen or not. Hopefully, you can see it full screen. This is what last year's looks like, which is very similar to this year's. This is just giving us and giving our contractor A+ permission to enter your property and treat your yard for the length of the project. So between, I guess, August 25th, right, Ken, and P, I think it's sometime in October when we need to have it finished.
That's correct. Early October.
Okay, thank you. So that's what we expect to use for our treatment window. We kind of give ourselves some time just because there's so many yards to get through. But it's just standard thing that most construction projects have. So this is your signature page on page 4. You're going to date, you're going to sign. And before you do that, you're going to make sure that this is actually a lot that you live on. That's where your house is. And then I will have a picture of it. Again, this is not what I use to calculate the area. This is just what I use to make sure that this is, in fact, where you live. It's not somebody else's place. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Let me go back to share and then we will get on with Ken here. Okay, so like I said, we went through a competitive bidding process. A+ Lawn and Landscape is going to be our contractor. And I have gotten a couple questions about overseeding. I do not see your slides. Can I have you jump in here? I don't know if you want me to stop sharing and have you start to share or how you want to do that.
You can keep rolling with these.
Okay. Can you talk about the overseeding for existing and for non-customers?
Yeah, so the overseeding is a service that not included in your SQR with the CLIVE program, but it's something we highly recommend. It helps the SQR program. It introduces new turf to the lawn. You know, you always want to keep that lawn nice and thick and germinated, and will help with the erosion with it too. So our team will be giving you guys a call or shooting you an email next week to get you prices, so you know how much it's going to cost to do that, and then we coordinate that to get that done with the SQR, so everything gets done right when it needs to, so the service works perfectly for you.
Okay, thank you. So I did have someone call today and they are an existing customer of A+. They did get a thing about overseeding. So that is not related to what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, that's
but you will be able to
correct.
coordinate.
We'll send out. Yeah, we're sending out to our existing client base because it's that time of year to do it. You know, August, it's perfect agronomically. This is the best time of year to do it now through the end of October. So if you're an existing client, you're getting notifications on that, and that pricing is exactly what. If you're not a client, and even if you are, we'll be giving you a call to reemphasize that and explain the benefits to you.
Okay, very good. And so let's look at this slide here. I guess we want to hear how you're going to notify people. We have emails. We have when we can do multiple emails, we can do text and calling. We can do multiple numbers for each applicant, I believe. And then I can look up records if we have any cable drops for your high-speed internet. That's something I can share with the contractor. Ken, is there anything else on this slide that you want to address?
I don't think so. Yeah, the notification's key. We'll send out a couple different notifications. One will just be kind of a general one coming up here in the next week or so that says, hey, this is the process. This is how it works. And then the second notification you'll get will give you some timing on, the crews will be out to start your SQR by a certain date. So we're pretty involved in letting you know when we're coming out.
All right. So for these pre-application, this little checklist here, everyone should have plenty of time to be able to be ready for you and be notified in the way you want to be notified.
Yep. Yep. And if something comes up where something happens, you couldn't do it, they can just reach out and we can always reschedule it.
Okay, and so after you visit, well, let's back up. So are you gonna you'll make 2 visits, right? There's one is the deep tine aeration, and then the other visit is for the compost spreading. What kind of time frame
Yes.
will you use for that?
Yeah, the first visit is a crew that'll come out and do the deep tine aeration. If you choose to do the overseeding, that will be done at the same time as that is. Then 48 to 72 hours after that, the crew that spreads the compost, like you see in the photo here, will come out and spread over and get everything applicated in the yard so that the compost is set and good. So it's a pretty fast process. The only thing that usually changes that is the weather. If it gets too hot, we will not apply the compost because it can do some damage. Not too effective with the aeration and overseed. And then, obviously if it's raining cats and dogs and we can't get out there and do it, we'll hold off on do that.
Okay, and do you have any comments about our post-application checklist here?
Yeah, it's safe. It's just compost. It's a natural product. It's produced right here in Iowa, just east of the Des Moines Metro. It's fantastic stuff. We've been using it a long time, so kids can get out on it and like the slides. It is messy. It's compost. It's mud. So if you do get some rain, you'll just have a little mess to be mindful of. And wait about a week for the mowing to happen. You'll see the seeds start to germinate, to pop through that. The fluff of the areas. It's okay to do that. Watering the lawn is important to get that compost to settle in and get down into the surface, and also to help that if you do the seeding to help that seed germinate too. And then also avoid, if you do lawn treatments with us or whomever, make sure you don't get any lawn treatments at least a week after that composting is done, so that you don't, A, the vendor isn't trampling and squishing and rutting it up, and B, some of that chemical can be detrimental to the new seed.
All right, and for watering the lawn, what if you don't have overseeding performed? Would you still want to water?
I would. It'll just help the compost and the aeration plugs. It'll help them dissolve and get into the substrate faster, so that about a week is a good time frame and you don't have to water it like crazy. Some of us that don't have irrigation, doesn't take too much to get the hose out there and get some of those down. So it is a beneficial thing. And obviously, if Mother Nature hits you with some rain, she's just going to help you out when you do that too.
Yep, very good. We like it when the rain falls for us. All right, these are some compost facts. We have not had the questions that we have had in the past about compost. Hopefully that's because we were doing a good job spreading the word and helping everyone understand what compost is. Let me keep moving through here. We don't have a whole lot of other slides here. Did you want to share a video with us, Ken?
I'm having trouble with mine too, so I must
Oh.
I must have given you a bug.
I can pull it up if you like, Ken.
Is yours working, Robert?
Oh, the host has disabled screen sharing. She'd have to let
Yep,
me share.
I can help you with that. Hold on here. Let's see. Which account should I be looking for?
Robert Johnson.
So you should be able to. Let me try it again here. Okay, can you see the sharing? I think it would just help
Okay, I
people
can
to
see it.
understand what the process is going to look like when you come out and what their lawn might look like.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay, so this first one is going to be actually our trailer, which is what we use to load our equipment. And then this right here is the actual application. Can you guys all see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the a large trailer comes out, it's cleaner, helps our crews be efficient and keeps the mess down. We don't just dump it all over the street or the yard. So it's very efficient, very clean for you guys. The second one is are those buggies. They're specifically designed for this process. They'll spread it. You can see in this picture, it doesn't coat your lawn. You'll be able to see your grass. It spreads it out evenly, and we'll make a couple of passes. So it's kind of like mowing your lawn cross section. They'll make a pass and make a pass another direction to make sure you get good application throughout the yard.
Okay, now we're having a question come in. This is the compost being spread. You didn't share the aeration. There's a question about how deep that aerator is.
The aeration tines go, the goal for the aeration is 3-inch plugs, 3 to 6 inch, but a lot of that will depend on conditions. If part of that prep work is if you have irrigation, water it. The harder the ground, those tines won't penetrate as far. So this part of that prep work is to get that ground moist for us so we can come in. But even when it's hard out, those aerators are commercial grade, pretty heavy. They're about, the size of your riding lawnmower. So they'll still cut 3-inch tines, even if it's pretty hard out.
Very good. Do we have any other questions? You can just put them in the chat. We will have some question and answer time after this. So let's go, I guess we can go back to the slides. Do we have any other videos or slides for A+?
No, we're good to go back to the presentation.
Okay. That was very helpful. All right, we are almost done with our slideshow. And like I said, if you've got questions, you can always send me an email when we're done also, and I can see if we can get things asked of our contractor after that. So let me see here. That looks great. Okay, so lawn treatments, we already said this before. Let's see, overseeding, you're going to get a hold of everybody. A+ is going to reach out. Whether you get the overseeding or not, it sounds like watering is recommended. You won't want to mow until you see if you've overseeded, until you start to see the baby grass coming up. So hopefully we keep our weather patterns that we've had lately, so we don't have any brown, crazy hard dirt. Hopefully we don't have yards like that. But the main thing I really want to emphasize right now is that your payments and your paperwork are due on Monday. By the end of the day. We've got 70 spots on the work list that are already taken to date. So we've got 42 slots from our regular program and 18 slots already taken for that special Walnut Creek neighborhood. We have had a few people who have like half completed. Let me stop sharing here. We have had, I think, 5 people who have turned in either the payment without the easement document, or they've turned in the easement document without the payment. So I do want to make sure you've gotten a message about it through email. So hopefully that's something that you can get worked out. Otherwise we'll return everything back to you. So George is asking here in the chat, if I use pre-emergence in the spring, can I still do the overseeding? Ken, that's a question for you.
Yeah, the pre-emergent in the spring will not affect the seed will germinate this fall and grow and continue as long as the weather's warm. So as long as it's germinated, your pre-em won't affect it at all.
Okay, and then we've got a question about aerating. Do you include the easements, that right-of-way area, when you're doing the aeration?
Yeah, everything that like in that diagram Julie showed is included for the aeration, the seeding, and the composting.
Now, I will say, if your contractor, when you got high-speed internet, if they did not file a permit, or it was before the times when we were requiring permits, and you've got that utility box in your easement area or anywhere, the neighbors, and it runs into your house, and it's not marked, and it's been long enough that we can't really tell, but you know where it is, I will want you to mark that. What's a good way for people to mark where their, the lighting, the wiring for their lighting, or their pet fencing, or what's a good way for people to mark that for you, Ken?
Usually flags, you can get flags anywhere, just the little lawn flags you see all over the place, any private utility, like you said, dog fence, irrigation. Irrigation, you should really only need to mark the heads. Usually we can see the valve boxes. Night lighting is another one that's a good one to mark. So easiest way you can locate them yourselves. Usually some of us remember where the lines are. As long as we can get through that, the crews will skip over those flagged areas so we don't hit anything. And then Julia had mentioned earlier about, more permanent or bigger structures. If you've got furniture, or trampoline was a great one, or play sets, we don't zigzag in and around them. We'll stay away from them. Just, we don't want to do any damage to it. So if it's something there and you want us to get in and under those areas, we'll just want you to, obviously can't move a play set, but we'll work around that our guys can be safe and we can be respectful of your property.
Very good. And, so I did ask if you had, like I said, our flyover was done in March 2024. If there was a trampoline visible, I've asked all of you where I could see it in the aerial. If I could see that trampoline, I asked most of you, no, I asked all of you, you all got back to me, on whether that was still there or if you were going to move it. So, can I mark that for you on our shared sheet? Alan, I
Okay.
guess I need to hear, when you're asking about the limits on water, are you asking about the watering ban?
No, I'm asking, I'm asking from, it said to water each day for 7 days afterwards. So assuming we do get some rain, I mean, you don't want to saturate it or just a light coating? I mean, how much, so that you don't overwater and erode off the application?
Sure, and so I
Yeah.
will share this, and can you tell me how this works? I was told as a layperson, if I know, like, there's two tests. One, if I can get a screwdriver down a couple inches pretty easily, then I wouldn't need to water. The other one I heard was if I don't know if I would do this, if I would bury an empty tuna can, depending on how full that was, that's how I would know if I needed to water. Ken, what do you think? If I don't have fancy irrigation, how do I know?
Yeah, my rule of thumb is if you get more than a half-inch of rain, it's good. You just want to keep so if you have the seed, so it stays moist and can germinate, and then like you had said that gets a crust on that compost and it can start to help dissolve that. So yeah, 7 days is ideal. And if it's really hot and dry, you're going to want to do that through 2 or 3 times. If you don't get much, then you can skip it. So you just have to. I have a rule. I go out and I poke my finger in the grass if I can push my thumb down in the dirt a little bit and it makes a little dent, then she's moist enough and you're good. I didn't know you're in here.
Okay, so Alan, did that work for you?
Yes, that answered the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so hold on, I've got a few extras here. Okay, if you have buried downspouts and our internet is not buried deep, if we mark those, well, what's the contractor's liability if they do damage something? So that's covered in the easement document. I don't know, Ken, if you want to say anything about that. If
Yeah.
you've marked them, I'm not sure that there would be damage.
There shouldn't, we do this, we've been doing this for over 30 years. So the key is to get it marked and get it marked accurately. Our people make mistakes too. So if we do, we cut something or we bump into something, you just need to notify Clive. We have a great process, accidents do happen. And yeah, then we take care of it. But, when we'll stay in communication and make sure that gets remedied. But as long as it's marked, our folks are pretty good at what they do. So we really don't have too many problems with bumping into stuff that's marked.
Yeah, and I would agree with working with everyone since 2022. I don't remember ever having a complaint about internet or downspouts. Chris Welp is saying, I know generally where my internet cable is or not, but not exactly. Can one, no, one call will not know. That's something that I will look up. If you want to send me an email and I can tell you what records I have, that's probably going to be the best way to confirm for your internet.
Well, I mean, and I don't know if you can hear me, but I can draw a line within a foot of it, but I've got like 3 of them in there because they keep burying new ones. So it's like if I put kind of a line, can they just stay away from that area, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
we'll
what kind of
skip over
accuracy
it.
do you have, Ken?
You can, I'll back up a little. You can call Iowa One Call. They will locate it as long as it's, we call it a public utility. So it's got to go from the street to the house. Because that's how we do our landscape and irrigation and other projects. So that would be one helpful one. If it's a private utility, like some internet lines are not, then it's, do I remember where they're at? And so the law says you have, you've got 12 inches either side of it. So our crews are trained to know that. So if you have a line and you kind of know where it is, as long as you're within a foot of it, we should be good on that.
So MetroNet would be considered a public, not private, correct?
It depends on how it's installed in your neighborhood or in your yard. There's not a good rule of thumb for that. But MetroNet, most times Iowa 1-800, they should be able to locate it for you. And that's a free service.
Okay.
And again, if you want to send me an email, I can see what records we have here.
I mean, I saw them dig it. I know where it is, but not,
Yeah,
Exactly.
but I don't know if they pulled a permit and gave me a map.
well, some guy walked out and just buried. I'm talking from the main box to the house. I mean, they lay it
Yeah,
down. And they just
Right.
run.
And they would have to get a permit today to do that.
Okay.
But again, if they could do it and we would never know also, that's
Right.
another,
Okay.
that happens. I get calls all the time and people want to know. I'm like, well, as far as I can tell, no work was done at your house. So again, if you want, you're certainly welcome. I will
I
help
may
you
have
the
just
best I
called.
can.
I may call
All
that
right.
one big number and have them do it.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've got another question, Ken. What if they want to do their own overseeding? It says, will there be any time after the aeration, but prior to composting for us to do it ourselves? I think you had mentioned 48 to 72 hours in between. Is that right?
Yeah, that's difficult to coordinate. Yes, you can do that, but I cannot guarantee our compost crew won't be faster than you are. So if it's something, Julie, if folks are wanting to do that, we can put that in the notes and we can gap when the compost comes in or make sure we, give them a call ahead or an email to make sure it's done. It's not agronomically bad, for us to come in and aerate and then you to seed 3 days later and us to compost 3 days later. So ideally it's good to put them tight, but you can still do it on your own if you want to.
All right. And so you can pay, you can either walk a check in or we can do an electronic check. You can use the payment link that I will send to you. I did hear from just a couple people that link that I sent to them wasn't working. Most everyone's been able to use the link to pay online, but I have had some people, they walked a check in and they signed a document for me. And that's perfectly fine. If you want to come see me over at City Hall or at Public Works, that will take it however you want to give it to us. I just want you to remember there is a little bit of urgency because we only have so much product and we only have so much grant funding and we only have so much from our irrigation fees that we're using for the program. Robert's
Julian?
asking about the square foot cost for the overseeding. Is that going to be something that depends on what seed they choose? Ken, how do we know?
When you talk to our specialists, they'll price it for you right over the phone, or we can send you a DocuSign on to do it. So it's there's a couple different seed varieties, but we generally use a mixed variety that's got a mix of bluegrass and some fescue in it. So generally it's all the same. So if you have a heavy shade lawn, you let them know that, and we'll specialize it with a mix that's got a little more shade tolerant turf in it too.
Okay, and so every year people ask about timing and if it's something that they can schedule with you. What's the process look like for you to put somebody on a route and move them around? Can they be moved around?
You're like, oh yeah, if they want to hold off on it or something, so we'll go through and route everybody that, you know, that we've got the list from Clive. It's for us, for it's geo routing, so we'll do it so it's efficient for us. We're in your neighborhood, we're tight. But if you've got things going on or you want to back it up, if you get our scheduling email and you want to change it, you just need to notify us, you know, within 48 hours of getting that notice, so we can pull you out of that route and accommodate whatever you're wanting to do.
Okay, and so do you have a general idea if you'll work west to east or east to west, or how you're gonna place people on a route? And like
I
how
don't,
much,
that's
how
the
many yards you can do in a day, or how is that?
So we don't do west to east, we put it in our software and she tells us what to do. So
Okay.
it kind of does I'll call it a spiral pattern. It usually works in and out of that. And then, you know, depending on the size of the yards, we can usually do, you know, 5 or 6 yards a day. And it depends on the crew. The aerator crews and this aeration and seed crews can do 10 or 11 yards a day. The compost is slower and they'll usually do 4 or 5 yards a day. So just, you know, that's a good average.
Very good. Okay, I do not see any other questions. But I think down here in the chat, I can put your email, which is Ken E at I gotta spell it right, plus, is it A plus lawn?
Yep, apluslawn.com.
That's Ken's, and then my email address, jmcguire@cityofclive.com. Is there a special email we need to use for your seed specialists?
No, you can, let's just keep it simple. They can just email me, send it out, and I'll forward it to those guys, and they'll usually call or email you that same day to, you know, get your questions answered and get you priced out and get you on the list.
But the next step is you're going to reach out to each of us, kind of schedule, do we want these things? So, you know, what the schedule is, do you want overseeding, those kind of things. You're reaching out to each of us. Is that kind of the next step?
Yeah, the next step is we've got the list of who's signed up now. Next week, we will be calling all you folks to see if you want to do the overseed. So we'll do that. And then as Julia touched, as long as it's not hot, we would like to get started, you know, that last week of August is our target right now. So you'll get the first communication you get from us, aside from the seeding call, will be a text and or email, however you decided you wanted to get notified, explaining the process, kind of what we did here tonight. You know, it'll be a general one. This is how it works. Aeration crew, compost crew. And then the second email or text will be, hey, we're going to come out and start your yard. The crew should be out to start by August 35th or 30th. So you'll get 2 notifications so you get a good idea on when we're coming out.
Okay, so again, I just want to remind everyone, 42 slots have been taken for our regular 50-50 cost share. 18 of those water quality initiative slots over in that Walnut Creek area, those have been taken. There are only 32 of those with our special grant funding from the state. So if this is something you want to have done, I really suggest you make your decision very quickly and get everything into me. If you want to pay by check, you'll make it out to the city of Clive. And I'm going to suggest you walk it into City Hall, or if you're going to do it in the morning, Clive Public Works, they open at 7 o'clock, and someone will be there to help you. Or if you want to come into City Hall, I think we're here until 5.
Could you send us the slides?
I don't know. I've not done that. I think I could.
If you can, great. If not, okay, do.
Yeah, send me an email.
Okay.
Okay, so again, you're gonna get payment to me, signed easement document to me. I will get information about your property, as far as the,
Maybe I was one who had a question on the check. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Hi there. Hi. Yeah, sorry. My audio dropped off for a second, and so I missed the part about, is there always a gap of like a day or so between the aeration and the composting? Or is it?
There's always a gap, yep.
Oh, okay,
At
okay.
least a day. That's just,
Yeah, that's what I kind of assumed, but I thought I heard you mention that earlier, but that regards to whether I felt like I had time to throw some of my own seed on there or something. We'll look at your option, but I just would like to know if I had that option of doing it myself. So, all right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Does the compost ever introduce more weed seed? I know it probably says no, but
It's pretty clean stuff. It's actually, the seed doesn't come in on the compost. It's usually, it blows in and germinates from all around us. We use this compost. I've been using it for 20 years and it's fantastic stuff. And, we use it in our landscape beds and on lawns, and it doesn't have manure in it, so that's where seed come in. An animal eats that stuff, they poop it out and the seeds are in there. So when they compost it out east there, it's composted, it sits, it gets hot, it kills everything that's in it. It's fantastic stuff. So it's not going to introduce anything to make your nice lawn weedy.
okay.
Just a quick question. I would assume the compost then is fairly fine. It's not going to have a lot of larger chunks or pieces like that, considering it's being spread on the lawn. Is that correct?
Yes, it is a pretty fine particulate. You saw that spreader we put it through. You could see it just flies out like dust. So it is a light product. A lot of folks one thing I'll always stress is, it doesn't change the color of your lawn. You can tell we were out there, but it gets down onto the root zone, onto the dirt very easily. That's one of the advantages of this compost and those spreaders, because the spreaders chew it up as they spit it out and spread it too. So it's you're not going to see big sticks or big chunks of dirt. Sometimes, you might have a clump or something, but the crews will typically go through, and when they're done, when they're cleaning up, they'll go through and double check that they don't have any, clump spots or something that might have blobbed up as they were going through it. But yeah, you won't notice big stuff. That's easy to come by and mow the lawn, a few days, after that week or so, that you're not going to hit dirt, rocks or anything crazy like that in there.
You'll also send out instructions that for example, said lawn at 3 inches. I have a fairly thick lawn, those kind of things, how to water beforehand. And so,
yeah, and that was all in Julia's slide. And if you guys have more questions, we do this too for our clients and a lot of the other metros. So it's a very popular service, and it's good for the community and it's good for your lawn. So we really love it.
okay. Hey,
All right. Well, I think Julia's
All right.
having some technical difficulties. So I thank you guys, everybody, for coming tonight, and
thank you.
look forward to making your lawns look green and great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.